Okay, it looks like we are live. Friends, old souls, beautiful beings. So, welcome to this live stream of Demon Banishment, Spiritual Protection, Space Clearing, and Q&A. So, some of you know me, many of my friends do, and I'll introduce myself. My name is Troy J. Bacon, and I am a professional demon banisher. And so, what does that actually mean? Well, I don't actually hear people using that term, and especially identifying with that profession. There may be others. I know that there are others who do entity removal and that line of work. Many of them are Reiki masters, some of them are just other healers, some of them have learned it from other traditions. Um, I've heard of one local man who knows a Mexican variety tradition of like it's kind of hands-on, involves some shaking with the person, and anyways some spiritual work of like removing entities and demons from the person. But yeah, demon banishment, and as a demon banisher, what does that mean? So I've been at this work for 13 years now, since 2013, and it has been a long and trying 13 years. Um, it's not a type of work that, of course, anybody told me about or recommended to me or that any school would have offered. I will offer demon banishment training soon at some point. And so, what demon banishment is banishing demons and dark spirits. And what a demon is, when I use that term, is primarily the really dark, harmful, and malicious demons who actually do try to, for example, sacrifice humans, abuse humans, manipulate humans, cause chaos and drama, um, disrupt our lives, and disrupt our peace in many ways through possession or simply attachment and influencing people's minds. I'll be talking soon about what that actually looks like. And yeah, how also to help mitigate, manage, banish demons. Um, I use the term demon kind of um, to represent dark and malicious and harmful spirits, but some also just want to be demons, as I would call them. And those are not so nice spirits, often that are of a vampiric behavior that siphon the energy from people's aura, mind, and emotions. Um, Sometimes they are just entity attachments. Um, there are many types of entity attachments. Some are less of a spirit, some are more like a leech. Um, some are like little gremlins, some are actually more powerful beings, some are even shadow people that influence people and feed off of their drama. Um, so yeah, there are many types of demons. Um, and so demon banishment is, I think, a gift or an ability that my soul naturally has when I'm in my power, and my soul is naturally immune to demons and has the ability to banish them from my local space, to remove them from others, which I've accomplished even back in 2013, um, when I was just starting this and I was thrown into my sink or swim story, which I'll talk about very soon. Um, and that was, yeah, that was the worst demon I've encountered so far. At least the most dangerous, I'd say. But So, why would I even want to be a demon banisher? I know that to some that title sounds a little bit dark or a little bit odd, um, maybe even gothic, which actually those who know me would very much disagree with those qualities about me. I'm very much a friendly, sincere, honest, authentic, um, often fun loving, and yeah, just honest person. And I always like to talk about spiritual topics, talk about mediumship, and talk about benevolent ETs, wellness, natural wellness, sometimes herbal and nutritional wellness, energy medicine, Eastern traditional forms of energy medicine, shamanism, you name it. I'll talk about it as long as it's good and beneficial and positive. So I'm a Reiki master, and so really for the past 15 years, I've been even longer, or like 16 or 17 years, I'd say. Even before my walk in soul exchange, I was trained in traditions of medical Qigong and um, yeah, ways of Chinese, traditional Chinese medicine and Eastern Asian medicine, acupuncture. I did an internship with an acupuncturist who also taught me a bit about Native American and Lakota shamanism. So as my martial arts teacher taught me a bit about Lakota shamanism with my 4-year internship with him in high school. So yeah, there's a lot of history there with just energy medicine traditions. So with that, water is so important for the throat and the body when you're speaking. So then the question is, how does an energy medicine student and practitioner really get into the line of work of demon banishment? And so here's the first story. I think I'll just jump into this, and then I'll talk about some specific points that I have written up about what demons are. How do you know if you have a demon attachment or detachment? Signs of those, other stories with demons and bad spirits, and mental illnesses, and more stories, and the whole gamut. So, this first story is, I'd call it the blood circle demon. I've talked about it before on this YouTube channel. Actually, I think it was last August or so, I made a 3-part series um, titled The Chronicles of Amara, where I read a kind of summarized but somewhat detailed story of my first intimate love and girlfriend and my time with her, and how that turned into the story of the blood circle demon. I was 17. She was about 15 and a half when we met. And so I don't need to describe that whole story. It's on this channel. Um, but basically, we were a young and kind of reckless, hyperactive, and um, honestly, all of us no sexual high school interest and love affair. And so one night, on the night of a blood moon, which is when the full moon, I think it's when it comes directly into the center of the umbra of the Earth's shadow and turns red. And so it was in October of 2013, on the night of the blood moon, a lunar eclipse. Um, my girlfriend at the time, Amara, called me over to her house, and I went over there. And at first, I thought that it was sort of just her normal drama. She was, I think, from my studies, probably had borderline personality disorder. I'll talk about that a little bit later with mental illnesses and demons and what that is and how demons love that and attach to it. But yeah, so with that type of condition, half the time a borderline person is often very lovely, very sweet, um, lovable. And then about half the time they can get into these states. By the way, I should say that I'm not a licensed or clinical psychologist. However, I have read books from and learned from clinical psychologists about borderline personality disorder. So I can speak not only from my experience, but also from my studies into the clinical knowledge of this. And so when they get into these states, there's no logic that can get to them and change them. It's just pure emotion. But demons love those states, especially when there's anger involved, even wrath. And so this demon came out. At first, when I got to her house, I thought it was just sort of her normal manipulative behavior, but it didn't take long for me to notice that her voice was many octaves deeper than a normal 15-year-old girl's voice, and not her voice. And it was speaking as a very low toned um, male voice, basically, and very demanding. And at one point, it demanded that I drive her, and she had a friend over. I won't say the friend's name for their anonymity, but drive us to meet with one of her other friends. Um, and I won't share any other names of these actual people, but it was actually a friend that tragically she had one of the guys anyway that I know that she had an affair with while I or my walkout was dating her years before my walk in. And so we went to visit this friend of hers, and it was late at night, maybe around midnight, maybe before. And so then I didn't know what this demon was intending or wanting. It was just demanding and made me drive us to there. And on the drive, I was a little bit nervous, but having been a black belt already in Taekwondo at the time, I maintained my composure and knew that I'd figure something out, and was also somewhat believing in and connected to angels. And so I was praying also to my spirit guides to help with this. So we got out of the car, parked it up on a hill, then walked down a hill, and we met with this younger teenage friend of hers, and suddenly the demon started just grabbed his throat and started choking him. And I'll tell you that that's probably the first time I saw a real death grip. My grip of my hands can naturally be pretty strong too when it needs to be. But yeah, that was a real demon's death grip. And I could not break it, pull it apart. And I knew that I only had probably seconds to stop this before he either passed out or died. Um, and so this was a ritual sacrifice. It was pretty crude. Um, by the way, I should make sure that I already called him in, but Archangel Metatron is here with us. We will not be invoking any demons on um, this live stream, and we will always maintain this space in clarity and angelic and godly, holy high vibration, um, maintaining integrity and connection with the light of creation, of source, of God, heaven, and so be it. And so, back to this story. Whenever I would look into my girlfriend's eyes while this demon was in her, it wasn't human. Her eyes were black. It was like looking into an abyss that was saturated with pure evil, is how I would describe it. And I certainly never want to see that in any human ever again. That changes a person. You can't go back from seeing that. Um, However, you can heal, and I have very sufficiently, primarily with my angelic Reiki. Um, that's I'd say, Excelsior, um, phenomenal way of healing. Angelic Reiki. I'll be talking about that. And so I didn't actually know how to how to do this at first. I just kept desperately praying in my mind silently, asking my spirit guides or even angels or God, someone to help and to stop this demon. And as a as a black belt, I hadn't actually done this to a person, but I'd been taught how to knock someone out. And so I tried that on this demon. It did not phase it. Yeah, this was a different level of demonic possession. Um, the normal human functions go out the window in such cases. And so it looked at me. It turned its head and looked at me. And I was wearing a Phantom Quartz pendant at the time. I still have it. I don't wear it anymore, but I used to wear that for years every day without taking it off. And so it just looked at me, and I guess something maybe about the street lights or light that was hitting that crystal made it curious about it. It reached out and touched it, and then she fainted. I guess somehow the angels or something, maybe the energy of that crystal itself, was enough to suppress that demon. She fainted on the sidewalk. I then took that necklace off and put it around her neck. And honestly, I was not very muscular at the time. I have definitely gained a lot more muscle lately, but I had trouble even piggyback carrying her on my back, and I did for a bit, um, uphill. And then she woke up. I asked her what that was about, and basically she told me that that was her demon, the demon she was born with, from her dark witch of a mother who gave her up for adoption in Cambodia. We have no connection, no idea of who that is or what happened after that. Anyway, so that story is closed. A year and a half after her and I broke up for unrelated reasons, she took her own life. I suspect because of the demon coming back. And this is what happens with demons, that if you don't change your negative and toxic behaviors and replace them with self-love and integrity, honesty, self-compassion, compassion for others, kindness, and moral virtues, holy virtues, then demons will come back to you after they're removed from you. However that happens. I was able to remove this demon later in an oming event. Um, that was kind of, I didn't even know exactly what I was doing, but I did it and it worked. So, yeah, there are many ways to remove demons. I am a demon banisher. I was born this way. And so that is a blood circle demon. So far over the last 13 years, I have not seen a demon or dark spirit actually try to murder someone in front of me. Um, thank God, and quite fortunate for that. So, I've talked a little bit about what a demon is. Let's go into that briefly. And so that's sort of, I guess it's kind of self explanatory why I banish demons. Of course, because the malicious ones, for example, a blood circle demon, that I was told that demon was at that type of work for 400 years before I got to it. Um, so who knows who else it affected or even sacrificed. But yeah, some demons have to actually be in training, I've heard, for thousands of years to become a dangerous blood circle or true um, demon. A lot of demons actually want to be demons, even though they can cause drama and mischief. Um, there is some I've heard of through friends and through others who are kind of like dark and malicious and possessive demons, and even some that have caused assaults and violence and um, unprovoked or really unnecessary violence too. So that can happen. So there is this distinction, I'll say again, between these super power or more powerful or stronger anyway. They're not stronger than the light of unconditional love, compassion, Archangel Michael, Archangel Metatron, Jesus Christ, Yeshua, um, and any of those, any of us who are aligned with the light. But there is this distinction anyway between these dark demons who've been at this for centuries or thousands of years, toying with people, manipulating, destroying, even murdering as one of the darker acts. And there is this distinction between what I call the wannabe demons. They're just a little more chaotic. Um, Sometimes they do cause major drama. Sometimes it is traumatizing. Sometimes that is, yeah, sometimes the wannabe demons are just sort of punks. Um, Sometimes they cause interference even with computers and electronics, with loved ones, and high frequency audio I've experienced, especially from an evil alien group. They had iguana heads, but I banished them with the help of a Neptunian light warrior guide and friend of mine. So, that's sort of a distinction between some of these darker demons and entities, whereas, yeah, the wannabe demons tend to be just just not fun. Sometimes they're also vampiric. Um, they're like leeches, shadow people, even. Um, Shadow people are actually a different type of entity, I'm pretty sure. Um, they come from a different, either different dimension entirely or a different universe, not even our Milky Way local universe. I've heard that there are many universes, probably universes of universes, and some are just completely different types of existence. And so shadow people, as far as I am aware, are from a different universe, a different type of world, but they cross a barrier into our world. What I've found is they often need some sort of an electrical source, a circuit breaker, electrical outlets, um, usually in an unoccupied space to kind of feed off of that while they're not feeding off human energy. But they really love human energy, demons and shadow people do. And so, yeah, they really love to like siphon energy from people, which then causes normal, balanced, neutral, and happy emotional states to turn into depression, sadness, even anger, hostility, jealousy, just bad stuff, even elevating into interpersonal and with many other people, drama and conflicts and assault and violence. So those are examples. So here's some top ways to banish demons. A little bit of value for you. Prayer and holy invocations, I'd say, are always a good idea. Prayer to, and you, when you pray, you must have absolute unshakable faith with a higher power, whether that's God, Allah, Yahweh, the name you want to call it by it, or Creator, or a deity of light. Um, Garuda is quite powerful. Ganesha, Thor, Freya, Isis, maybe Osiris and Khnum, but they're a little bit more in the personal resurrection specialty. Um, Reading out loud from holy books is actually one tool in practice that I've found to be very good at banishing all kinds of dark spirits, removing them from your space. They're allergic to holy books, often deathly allergic. When you start reading out loud passages and words from holy books, they will run. Sometimes angels will even capture them and take them to other dimensions. But in order for to ensure that angels, such as Archangel Michael and his legions of warrior angels and protector angels, do take demons into purgatory prison, and that's what they've explained to me and let me see how they do that. Um, in order for that to happen, the best way is to book a session or sessions with an angelic Reiki practitioner certified in the angelic Reiki technique from the Angelic Reiki Association from the UK. And you can do that by following my website in the description, peacefulrain.com. And that's my business as a professional demon banisher, angelic Reiki practitioner. So far, there is nothing, no dark spirit, not even the fallen jinn, no shadow people, not even the dark Gnostic god Yaldabaoth, or Yaldabaoth, however you say him, can stand up to the might and almightiness of Archangel Michael, Archangel Metatron, um, because their will is really the will and light of God, the Supreme Almighty. So, angelic Reiki, I found, is the best way, even if you have demon banishing and entity removal abilities, or you know how. Um, Angelic Reiki not only removes entities and demons from people just in one session. I'd recommend 3 to 6 sessions minimally, because what that does is with each session, not only is there a removal, but also restoration of the entire aura, your aura, um, a restoration and blessing of your whole life, and um, yeah, then you just get the light of the angels on your side. Quite often, angelic Reiki contributes to or results in um, profound psychic abilities. In one case, I won't say their name or even gender, but in one case I worked with recently, um, this person had um, initially, I think, a wannabe demon, or kind of like not such a major demon, but we removed that. And then after, I think it was session two or so, um, this person experienced kind of a spontaneous, I guess you could call it astral projection. They felt like they left their body. I think while also feeling like they're in their body, but it felt like they were like way up high in the sky and then came back, kind of a recalibration. And what's more impressive is after 3 sessions, they reported that doctors through x-rays found a remission in their multi-tumor case, which they have lived with, I think, for either many years or most of their life, and never thought that would be possible. But angelic Reiki did that. And so I will say on that note that I'm not a licensed medical doctor. I can work with licensed medical doctors and um, work with cases, medical cases, with a signed um, referral from your primary care provider or licensed medical doctor, just approving that um, they approve of it and approve of receiving Reiki treatment. It's certainly nothing harmless and always positive and always beneficial, but that's just so that um, people aren't practicing medicine without a license, and so that doctors have already screened you, hopefully, but approve of your condition being deemed safe, so that you can receive alternative or holistic treatment um, without the probable or likelihood of having, like, let's say, a brain tumor if you're going for a headache or anything like that, or pain being caused by a tumor, a major thing that may need surgery or medical treatment. So that's why they do that, and that's why that's necessary. So we talked about the blood circle demon story. And so here's an important series of points and details. How do you know if you have a demon or entity attachment? And so here are some common signs, symptoms that there could be other causes for these, but these are common with entity attachment cases. Chronic brain fog, chronic fatigue, often chronic illnesses, um, chronic pain in the body, sometimes certain parts of the body too, which can also be caused by just mental and emotional patterns that have been unresolved. Um, but entities also love to attach to energy blockages, just like they love to attach to mental illnesses. Um, Here's one thing that entities and demons will do to people is that perhaps you feel drawn to practicing spiritual practices, even yoga, meditation, even writing the knowledge book, which this happened with me. Um, the knowledge book is a holy book. And so the first time I was attempting it, I um, I really wanted to complete it. It's a 60, I think 64 fascicule chapter book, and you write the whole thing week by week, chapter by chapter. And so it's ideal to do that, to complete it in your own handwriting in a certain period of time. But then the iguana-headed people started interfering with my ease and ability to do that. blocking me, delaying me, causing drama around each time I would try to write it, with the girlfriend I was with at the time, primarily from her and others. And they were causing electronic communication disturbances. And so, yeah, negative entities who don't want you to fully heal your body, energy body, chakras, activate to a higher degree, integrate your higher self with your cellular body, nervous system, DNA, all of your being, and then embody your divine life's purpose. They don't want that because these negative entities, demons, wannabes, and demon possessed and attached aliens, even other people, don't want you to succeed because they've already cut themselves off from the light. We have these levels of dimensions and light. Most of us humans are somewhat connected to it, especially those of us who work with energy and are connected to a higher source, higher power. But it's because they have cut themselves off. They've chosen ego versus connection. They've chosen malice. They've chosen sin. They've chosen torture. They've chosen sacrifice. Um, I hope that they find their way back to the light, and eventually they're destined to, even millennia or eons from now. But yeah, it's because God actually gave each of us souls free will to incarnate and to choose what we want to do in each lifetime, and even moment to moment, day to day, choose what we want to do, choose what feels right for us. But those souls, darker souls, cut themselves off from the light by choosing black magic, by choosing sin, by choosing ego, by choosing abuse, by choosing manipulation of others. And so, because of that, um, they just are like that. Um, and so that's why they feed off of fear. Demons and vampires and wannabe demons and dark spirits, they terrorize us to provoke fear. And it's the chemical as well as electrical and spiritual energy of fear. Um, what are the words I'm thinking of? Fear, denial, despair, um, even anger, rage, frustration, resentment. These mentalities and illusions of separation from us and them, separation from us and source and love and light, that by cultivating that in their dark rituals, then they're feeding off of that. Otherwise, their spirit's energy starve because they don't have any connection to outside sources of energy. That's why we should starve them, why we should banish them, choose not to let them get to you, choose not to let narcissists get to you, um, choose to protect your energy. And the best way to do that is through angelic Reiki services, angelic Reiki sessions, or better yet, even learn angelic Reiki for yourself. That's probably more affordable in the long run, so that you don't have to pay a practitioner for it. But practitioners, of course, are always helpful and loving and willing to help you. And for me, just email me, let me know if there's a financial concern. Maybe we can work out a payment plan. Sometimes they even do sliding scale. Um, if you can't afford like upfront payments in full. For me, it's just as much about the actual work and result of putting demons in their place in purgatory prison and working with the angels than it is about receiving and being compensated. That's important and that's valuable for everyone, and especially professional energy healers and practitioners. So, some other symptoms and signs of having anti attachments on yourself or others in your maybe family, um, your peers, housemates, classmates, coworkers, employers, people you know, um, displaying entity attachment and demon attachment symptoms may include just being dramatic, being disrespectful, left and right, chaotic, causing chaos with others, um, seeking to cause havoc, being abusive, either behind closed doors or anywhere else, towards coworkers, maybe towards a romantic interest, um, abusive of even other people's resources, stealing money, um, things like that, abusing privileges, um, even in a criminal way, being manipulative of others um, for personal and selfish gain or personal and selfish entertainment sometimes. Um, yeah, being manipulative, harassing someone, um, just not being able to respect others, not being able to accept others for how they are, being disrespectful to an extreme, being uncooperative with everyone, not being able to cooperate with anyone's reason, logic, decency, cordialness, kindness, being narcissistic. And some of these traits, like narcissism, are actually very innate in every single human. Of course, we all love to get paid, we all love to be treated, we all love to be loved and be shown affection, we all love to be included. Um, we all, I think most of us like our homes, like to chill and relax at home, enjoy food, enjoy pleasures, and so all that's normal. But if narcissism is taken to an extreme, and everything that a person does is against others, demeaning to others, um, they deny their part in a problem or causing a problem that really they're the only cause of. They deny being the weaker one. They deny having a problem. They deny that they even might need to go to therapy when they're actually harassing you and hurting you and traumatizing you. They deny all kinds of things, and narcissists tend to make it all about themselves, make themselves look grandiose much more than they actually are, um, put on masks, um, actually try to suck up to, for example, supervisors and employers and managers to make themselves look good so that they can keep their status in a company or maintain some illusion of status or respect within a family. Um, because they don't actually have much for themselves, and that they don't want to lose family or have to lose their home or anything from their evil behaviors. So yeah, demons love narcissists, and we all know what narcissists are like. So here's some top ways to remove a demon or entity attachment. And so this is where it gets pretty good. Um, Exorcism or something of that nature from a priest, um, a holy figure. Um, some like the movie The Exorcist and horror movies really make that look dramatic, and some demon entity removals, especially for highly possessive demons, actually are not very difficult for practitioners and electric practitioners. And so when you really learn and can do angelic Reiki and devote to it, um, the angels do most of the work. You facilitate it, and you facilitate and channel energy for the healing. And then it's just actually so easy. The demons just get removed. The angels protect you and your client and the receiver. Um, and then there's ways also of receiving shamanic soul retrieval or shamanic healing sessions, which it really depends on your tradition. I think there's always some effectiveness with long traditions that really know how to deal with dark spirits. Um, and yeah, a lot of cultures have found their ways. You kind of need to have a connection or find a shaman, or um, yeah, not everyone knows them. Um, so that kind of depends on you. You can try them out. I know some shamans who are very good at that sort of thing and who are very good at prayer and ceremonies that have been life changing for me. So also reach out, send me an email at peacefulrain.com if you maybe want a referral to one of my shaman friends who may be able to help with that, or even get you in touch with a shaman who may be able to help with an entity removal. Another avenue is to invest in therapy sessions with a therapist, a psychologist, a psychoanalyst, a behavioral therapist, a hypnotherapist. I'm also a certified hypnotherapist. Hypnotherapy is quite effective because it's not talk therapy where you're just sitting there talking with your eyes open, and that I've done that too with other therapists. It can help, but hypnotherapy sessions are highly effective, even more so because they bypass the conscious mind and the blocks of it and get into the subconscious mind, talk with the subconscious mind, heal the blocks and traumas in it, and then unite your conscious and subconscious minds. So it's a cleaner, more harmonious existence. You can start living the life that you want, be happy, change your behaviors from a root level, not just from talking, but actually change it from the root permanently. Um, yeah, hypnotherapy is quite effective, but otherwise, therapy sessions, some are more effective than others. Some therapists and psychologists, for example, will also try to prescribe you medications that may come with side effects. Um, so some helpful. Some medications, I'm not saying that all medications are toxic or harmful, but some medications I know are actually helping people I know, friends of mine, without side effects. But it's up to you if you want to stay medicated, um, just to stay normal and healthy and demon free, or perhaps a better way is to book a multi-session package. Book multiple sessions with a certified angelic Reiki practitioner, such as myself. And that is effective because I've dealt with all kinds of demons, fallen jinn, that actually were created before the angels. God created them before the angels in myth or in tradition. And so the jinn are like an entirely different type of existence than the angels. They were some of the first faithful ones to God. Some of them fell and lost their divinity and faith. Um, and so they have become also formidable. But so far, Archangel Michael and God, the Almighty, is still supreme to them, and they can't deny that. Um, I have successfully removed fallen jinn from others, and it works. Um, I've removed the dark god, Gnostic god Yaldabaoth from two clients. Actually, both of them, I'll say, were divine souls. One of them was an incarnation of Christ. One of them was a child of Archangel Ariel. I think I mentioned earlier that I'm a child of Archangel Michael. That's in my spiritual DNA, in my spiritual essence, Michael's energy. Whereas Ariel is more of a protector and enchantress of nature, of love, beauty, um, more of the divine feminine energies. And so what Yaldabaoth actually, he tends to try to bind to divine souls. I found with both cases, I've removed him. He also had a posse of fallen jinn, I could call them that, um, that caused additional not only blockage but hindrance and harassment to these souls. And so with Yaldabaoth, for example, I learned that he was highly allergic to Metatron's cube. I'm not wearing mine right now, but you can look up what Metatron's cube looks like. It's made of 13 circles in a geometrical formation. It contains all platonic solids. It contains all the essential geometric shapes within it. It's really quite beautiful. It's on my logo, Peaceful Rain. And so the reason, the deeper sort of esoteric, you could call it reason, that Yaldabaoth is allergic to Metatron's cube is because Yaldabaoth was born from Sophia in Gnostic tradition, and she birthed Yaldabaoth after she forced herself to become pregnant without a man impregnating her, which is kind of against divine law. Even Yeshua Christ was conceived of an ET in vitro fertilization and not purely immaculately, as some say. Um, but yeah, Sophia in Gnostic tradition, she's the wise divine feminine, but she, out of her assumed kind of like arrogance, birthed Yaldabaoth, a blind um, demiurge god, the demiurge of ego, which edges God out. Um, and so he, in sort of the darker Gnostic tradition, he supposedly blindly and accidentally created the physical world, which I don't fully believe. But he was supposedly a dark creator god, and he also seeks to, I guess, destroy or dominate this world. And Metatron is actually the angel associated with Keter, the crown center in Kabbalah. It sits on top of the head. And so the crown is the gateway to cosmic energy, the gateway to heaven, heavenly energy, into the body. And Metatron is an interesting angel. His life as Enoch was really an angelic, almost perfect existence, balanced energy, moral virtues, and he was able to return to his form as the Metatron force, Metatron existence. So we have an hour left. So that's why Yaldabaoth actually is allergic to Metatron, because Metatron is associated with interpersonal energy, psychic energy, and he's a teacher also of Hermetic philosophies. Um, Whereas Yaldabaoth is just arrogant and destroys, and so they're really opposites. But yeah, Metatron's cube. That's why I put it over every representation of demons that I ever show on social media. I watermark Metatron's cube on my logo on top of all of the demons so that they can't be invoked or empowered. And so let's talk about some evil aliens. How about? Now I know you might be thinking, some of you, that either aliens aren't real, or who might I know about evil aliens, or what the heck are those? Um, so this is my personal experience. It happened, and it's part of my history in this life, at least, possibly other lifetimes. And after I visited Mount Adams for the first time, which is quite a paranormally active as well as high vibrational region of South Central Washington State, um, and the mountain itself rests on top of underground alien bases, I met with my enlightened gray and mantis cohort there when I visited in 2018 and at other times since. But unknowingly, I guess I somehow, or it followed me back. I didn't bring it back. Something that followed me back is this evil alien, a gray alien. At first, I thought it was um, one of our cohort, but no, his or her name was Amake. It told us my girlfriend at the time. She was clairvoyant, and so she was able to see him. I don't see clairvoyantly with my eyes. I can see in my mind clairvoyantly what beings look like. Anyway, so this evil alien was kind of pushing and trying to take blood samples from her because she had amazing psychic powers, and they wanted to make clones of her. We denied and refused that. Yet over a few months, Amake kept like pushing us, insisting us that we give it blood samples. Um, and so eventually, Amake sort of like, because it was cloaked and snuck up on my girlfriend, and then actually took a sample from her forcibly very quickly. Um, we had to call on our friend St. John the Baptist. I've known him since um, after my encounter with the blood circle demon, and I I do hope that all the light of God does stay with that demon and contain it, and also I trust that the light of our Holy Father, Universal Father, does contain and keep away from me forever um, the demented spirit of that girlfriend Amara, who also became a demon herself. And so, anyway, um, Saint John the Baptist was one of our protectors. He eventually helped. It took some time. Actually, he kept telling us he was like cultivating like a large charge of energy over the course of days or weeks, and working with other spirits, protective spirits, angels, and others to actually banish and remove Amake. And so the way that actually happened, though, after lots of harassment from Amake and interference, it caused us drama. Um, just really not a nice alien. Caused my girlfriend lots of anger episodes. We both had arguments back then. But after one argument, she went out to her car. It was like early January in Seattle, and um, freezing cold almost. She almost froze to death sitting in her car. We were taking some time apart, and so not only that, Amake tried to come at her when she was alone, and I was told he reached into her chest and tried to stop her heart, and then Saint John, I guess, stopped Amake, um, basically banished it, blipped it out of existence. Don't ask me how they do that, but they do. And then Amake left or was taken away, something, and then yeah, we never heard from that. Um, and so here's a story also about the iguanas. I call them the iguanas because through psychic investigation, not only with my girlfriend at the time after Amake, but then astral projector friends were able to see that these were reptilians with iguana heads. Um, they're kind of humanoid. I think their queen was a little bit more of an actual iguana looking giant reptilian queen who came to this planet. I think she arrived here probably in late 2018, as I suspect, and was trying to cause us trouble too. I suspect the iguanas, anyway, caused me drama, computer and electronic failures constantly, cell phone failures, interruptions, and things. Um, yeah, anyway, just harassment from the iguana headed reptilians for months. Astral projector friends weren't able to stop them. Um, yeah, one astral projector friend did put me in touch with a spirit guide. She called him a spirit guide. Um, I think he was really more of an ally, I'd call him, that sort of stepped forth just at the right time in my life, that then came through sort of to offer his help and protection in this case, um, when I really needed it. And so, what this Neptunian being ended up doing for me is, with each incident that these iguanas were harassing us and trying to stop us. Um, by the way, I also learned of the locations of two portals that they had set up in a large park region of Seattle. And we closed those, fortunately. But um, basically, those portals were how they were able to come up from their nest underground up into Seattle in a populated region, and actually, I suspect, harass and attach to many other people besides us, take advantage of them. They weren't very smart iguana reptilians, I'd say. But so this Neptunian being, anyway, I would telepathically connect to him on Neptune, and I think they live probably on the more solid core of Neptune. They're plasma beings, but he would send me in a meditation state this orb of energy that I would see come down in front of me, and he would instruct me to just download it with all the details I knew and remembered about each incident and each case, and then it would beam back up to him on Neptune. And he said that he would review it, and some of the time said that he would review it himself. Some of the time he would review it with um, the Neptunian Council. And some of the time he said he would review it and forward it to the Council of Angels, interestingly. And it wasn't until I think it was this year or last year that I actually learned that there is some ancient scriptural knowledge of the Council of Angels. Wouldn't you know? Otherwise, I'd never heard of the Council of Angels before that case. So there was this one incident with the iguanas where they sent a red light, or my girlfriend anyway saw a red light. I don't know how big it was or exactly what shape, maybe an orb, but she said a red light came in through the window and kind of like came at her, blinded her. Yeah, she lost her physical eyesight. She said that everything just went black. Um, I think I recall the color of her eyes fading a little bit. I stayed with her. I didn't know what the hell to do about that. I didn't know what remedies to try to give her, put in her eyes, if anything, or like how to combat that type of attack. That was just completely out of um, my repertoire and field at the time. But I stayed with her, just maintaining my commitment and faithfulness to unconditional love. And eventually, after, I don't know, half an hour to an hour or so, she reported that her eyesight came back, but then her hearing went out. She couldn't hear, she was just deaf for a while. And sure enough, after I stayed with her for a while longer, stayed by her side, I think I was praying, calling in St. John the Baptist, um, anything else that could help heal her, even God. Then eventually her hearing came back. But it was after that incident that then I did one final um, orb session with my Neptunian friend. And then he said that he would review it. And I think it was with the Council of Angels they did. Finally, I don't know what they did, but just like that, the iguanas vanished. They stopped harassing us. Their portals were gone. Um, their queen was off of this planet, out of it. She had set up a nest underground, so somehow they removed her and the iguanas, which I still don't fully understand how angels and divine spirits banish, even dematerialize embodied evil aliens from our planet or our universe. Um, I guess that happens. I've seen it. And so I do ask for St. John the Baptist, Archangel Metatron, Archangel Michael, and all divine forces to bless these individuals. So let's talk about mental illnesses and demons. Now, again, I'll say just for clarity and sort of a legal note that I'm not a licensed psychologist. I'm not a licensed medical doctor. I don't practice psychological clinical medicine or treatment, but I have read books for years from psychologists. I have credits from the Evergreen State College in academic parapsychology and psychology studies. That's my background even before hypnotherapy. And so I've done my studies, done readings into peer reviewed and clinical papers, as well as books about conditions such as narcissistic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, anxiety disorder, which quite often lump together and individuals with one have the others most of the time. Um, so quite often they also have PTSD, I'd say, in my experience, and PTSD definitely um, definitely does affect and usually trigger anxiety disorder. Um, it often forms or helps form borderline personality disorder in a child or young person from a young age, um, especially if their parent had borderline personality disorder. I'll say that. Let's talk about these. Then I'll talk about paranoid schizophrenia and possibly others as they relate to demons and demons feeding off of them and manipulating mental things. So, yeah, about narcissism, of course, as demons are usually egotistical. Yaldabaoth is an egotistical demiurge, dark god. Um, there are others. Um, I do like to invoke them or invoke Archangel Metatron while I'm speaking of them, as well as Archangel Michael. And so, again, yeah, demons love narcissism, they feed off of it. It causes so much friction, so much frustration from those of us who are not highly narcissistic. Um, Sometimes it makes us angry to deal with a narcissistic um, spouse, family member, coworker, employer. I know that all of us have dealt with those narcissistic employers, supervisors, bosses, and yeah, all kinds of people, peers with just narcissistic behavior that often likes to pick on one person or pick on people, and usually in a bully way, not just in a joking way, but like actually bully individuals, um, or put someone down for not being physically strong or not having the same level of intellect or IQ as them, um, not being able to do basic tasks either in life or at a workplace or in a household, um, or yeah, some narcissists I've known have even bullied people for disabilities, mental and physical disabilities. It gets ugly. Demons get ugly. And so, usually, this is the case I've found, um, when someone with narcissistic personality disorder, anxiety disorder, borderline personality disorder, or mental disorders, especially diagnosable and diagnosed, go through sessions of angelic Reiki or entity removal sessions in general, but angelic Reiki especially, and these demon attachments, these anti attachments around their aura, around their body and emotional body, get removed, banished. Their mental disorder goes away, or largely clears up, gets a lot better, easier. The depression clears up. Um, I've been in states of depression, um, and there have been times that I've been highly depressed with certain circumstances I went through in the past, and I would just sit outside even at night, just depressed, honestly praying a little bit, but breathing fresh air, um, wanting things to change, and then literally within like seconds, it felt like instantly, I would just have these epiphanies, realizations that can let it go. Just let it go. Let go of everything weighing on me. Let go of everything weighing on my heart. Let go of all my judgments. Let go of all um, my internal representations of others that label them and paint them as evil or bullies or troublesome and um, all of that. Hmm. So that's a bit about narcissism, borderline personality disorder. I'll just get into that a little bit briefly. That I'll start by briefly describing what that is. It wasn't really clinically identified or classified. Um, I believe until the early 2000s, and so then after clinical psychologists really defined this actually kind of long list of specific symptoms that are consistent in these individuals as a condition, then and behaviors. Once they identified that, then it actually started to click with a lot of people, not only clinicians but um, family members and friends of these people who they just called it drama, they called it narcissism, they called it um, misbehavior, um, various things. But it was like just this broadly sort of, or even mood swings or uh, bipolar disorder or things like that. Um, they thought it was just that, but it's actually this very specific condition, largely rooted in the nervous system, as I understand, but it's often passed down from one parent who has it to their children or a child, sometimes twins or two siblings um, from a borderline parent. One will have borderline traits and the other won't. And so that becomes also challenging. Um, and so it's not so predictable exactly who will get it for children, um, but it's treatable, and that's the light side of it, the silver lining that it's treatable. A lot of people have recovered from it, cured it, essentially, um, and there are books about it. There are workbooks about that I've seen, and so the thing about borderline personality disorder that demons love is that it creates this fractured, sort of like insecure, unstable personality or identity with a person, and so they don't really have a firm sense of their identity and who they truly are. It's more like um, part of the time they can be really sweet, often at work, sometimes at work or workplaces. They can be really just normal, productive, good employees, friendly customer service employees, or whatever they do, um, and work well with their coworkers. But then it's like quite often at home, behind closed doors, um, they become this other person. They have these masks that they put on with their spouse, their lover, their significant other, or even a sibling or a parent. Um, that really clinicians call it their favorite person, because they know that there's like this loving bond. They can basically take advantage of that, take it for granted, and half the time just be disrespectful, abusive, controlling. Um, and when they get into these borderline states, which is usually when they're I've, in my experience and my suspicion, when a, a person is unbalanced, dysregulated, maybe they haven't eaten well that day, maybe there were other things in their day earlier or at their workplace that triggered them or made them upset. Um, Maybe their parents came over, or maybe their parents or somebody else did something that hurt them and they haven't gotten over it. And so then they take it out on their favorite person and just become basically what I call in the dryer. Once they're in the dryer, they don't get out. Um, Around and around and around, unstoppable. And basically, or what can often be perceived as a hurricane of harassment, of belittlement, of devaluation of their favorite person. This is a thing about borderlines that I've learned and that um, has really irked me in the past when I've grown up with them is that half the time when they're happy and normal and even helpful and encouraging, that's when they show value and in some ways bring up, um, lift up their favorite person, a sibling, parent, child, um, lover, or family member, and so they bring you up. They make you feel really good. Sometimes go out for a time, go on vacation, go have a great time. Maybe give you gifts, give you a nice birthday celebration or something. But then half the time, or this other part of the time, when they get into a borderline state or get into this, and sometimes borderline states can last for um, very often hours, sometimes days. Sometimes they can lighten up a little bit, but don't actually get out of it and get easily thrown off again. Um, but so then the thing with borderline is that they get into these states um, after they've lifted you up and helped you feel valuable, encourage you on your projects, encourage you in your career, make you feel even attractive, sexy, special in some way. They devalue you, bring you down all the way, back to rock bottom often. They won't stop pointing out your flaws in the dryer. They won't stop telling you what they hate about you when they're in the dryer. They won't stop telling you about what you've done in the past that they hate about you, even if it's not relevant to today or has nothing to do with what happened today, or sometimes it's even from months to years ago, something they haven't gotten over, but part of you that you're just not that person anymore. It's not relevant. And or sometimes it is just about today. Sometimes it is um, about them normally though. Sometimes it is about something you said. Sometimes it's about something that you said that you didn't realize broke one of their eggshells. Sometimes it's about something you said that other people wouldn't react to or other people wouldn't complain about, but uh, their eggshells are fragile, and so by stepping too close, then they just snap, and you don't know why. And so that also dovetails into the narcissism and then the anxiety disorder, which is a diagnosable disorder by itself. It's not just anxious thoughts, um, but it's like a chronic, constant anxiety or propensity toward just constant anxiety about things, even things that other people consider no big deal or that are actually very simple and doable. Um, so That's what demons love, is dramatic, stressful, highly stressful, tense, um, sometimes even traumatizing, belittling type of chronic behavior of someone who has these disorders who takes them out on someone else or other people or even manipulates other people. And there's more to borderline personality disorder. It's they're actually two, like it manifests typically differently between women and men. You can look that up. You can read into it. It's a whole study, a whole thing by itself. But what demons love about it and feed off of about it is especially that it's essentially like a fertile farm of fear and drama, sometimes even domestic and physical abuse, domestic violence. It can lead up to, if it escalates, these drier incidents. Um, and so that's where living with the angels, receiving angelic Reiki, learning angelic Reiki from an angelic Reiki practitioner really becomes helpful. Um, because then you can easily realign with the angels, get their help, get their assistance, and also learn how to detach from your emotions. Emotions are just the soul of the body, but they're not actually your soul. That's what's essential to learn, is that emotions, they're very alluring, sometimes addicting to identify with, but you can learn to become the detached observer of your emotions, the the observatory ability of your soul that can look inward, observe your emotions without feeling them, acknowledge that they're there, validate, observe the emotions also of the other person, acknowledge that they're there, but not be reactive. So, where do I want to go next with this? So yeah, here's some top ways to manage mental illnesses and symptoms that demons attach to. Invest in therapy to modulate or correct your brain and thinking, which there are many ways of doing that. Many types of therapy, hypnotherapy, neurolinguistic programming work very well to reprogram all the ingrained and the habitual ways that you've grown up with and learned to speak. Um, yeah, it's just you can work with a therapist, work with the subconscious mind, such as in hypnotherapy. There's behavioral counseling. Um, what's one of the ones I've worked with? I think it's the GOTS method. Um, there are various behavioral therapists out there, actually, that I've worked with over the years. Um, Working with a psychologist to really dig into, and this is what hypnotherapists are often good at too. Some psychologists also know hypnosis. Psychotherapists too are great. Um, Digging into the mind the roots and layers of the mind, um, to get into the subconscious, really understand and reprogram your your subconscious ways of thinking, of relating, of seeing people. Um, and then probably the best way, honestly, to treat um, mental, well, there's many treatments of mental illnesses and disorders, but then the best way to really remove demons from yourself, you have to, the person removing angelic Reiki does have to be willing. It's not just something that you can sign up um, your relative for if they're mentally ill, unless they're under 18, and then it's the parents' decision to receive angelic Reiki, try that for their child. But um, yeah, angelic Reiki is honestly the best way all around. I've tried other ways, but all around to remove demons and attachments, nothing, and I mean nothing, can deny or get past angelic Reiki, um, and do the removal. The only exception that I found, honestly, is with the fallen jinn, because they're a completely different type of being, and um, the angels can remove them, and they have, for those who are willing and those who really want them gone. But there is a, a little opal ring that I used to wear all the time. Um, that after one jinn removal, um, or no, that was Yaldabaoth. He was different, but I got him out. I was able to defeat him. Um, so that ring, the opal fell out. I I don't know how, but it came out, and then I glued it back in, so it's fine now. But then there was one gin removal that the next day, or actually that was that day. I did the removal in the morning. I was driving home from work that day a while back, and I heard this thing hit my car. I thought it was rocketing my windshield, but I there's no crack. I didn't actually see the rock hit the windshield, and so I wasn't sure what it was. Maybe it was just something. I thought it was something like, I don't know, debris that got kicked up, maybe hitting the side of my car. I went out to my car the next morning and noticed that the sunroof on top was shattered. Just almost all of it was gone, just shattered. Um, Fortunately, it was springtime, and I guess that was about a year ago, and the weather was warm. There wasn't a lot of rain after that, but still, the sunroof was closed. Nobody broke in. Something hit the top of my car. I'm sure that the gin did that. They were removed from the person they removed it from, but I heard that that gin actually came back to that person, because this is a lesson I learned, that they didn't actually ask for the removal. Um, so it wasn't their will that helped keep the jinn away. It was their behaviors, their toxic behaviors, that were addicted to the jinn, causing them pain and drama and darkness, that they didn't heal, and they didn't let go of those behaviors, and so they didn't actually come down, um, until they attracted the jinn back to them and accepted that. So that's another story. Um, I think I'll leave it at that. This is an hour and a half long, about an hour 37 now. So that's how powerful, yeah, demon banishment work can be. Not only does angelic Reiki completely remove and banish demons. Like, I'm saying absolutely. Um, I say 113% because I use that number because Archangel Metatron's cube has 13 circles in it, and it's a number of the divine feminine. But uh, yeah, angelic Reiki is really the way. It's it's collaboration with not only the angels, but it opens the space and brings in the energy of all other divine beings, even dragons, spirit guides, animal guides, Yeshua and Mary Magdalene and Christ, Sophia, group energies, um, gods, like I said, Garuda from um, the Indian deity pantheon, and that was quite a powerful session with hot golden light. Um, and then there's Norse gods too that sometimes show up: Sasquatch, um, fairies, um, all kinds of beings, even ancestors, deceased ancestors, grandparents, and um, deceased loved ones. So, yeah, I'll share more videos about angelic Reiki coming up, as well as other topics. I have another series I'll be doing too, about clarity on dichotomies. So, I wish you so well, and I wish you to stay blessed, and we'll talk soon. May the angels be with you. How do I get out of this end stream?